Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. This video is going to be about chamber flags. So for the last year or so, I have gotten back into competition shooting, and I did competition shooting back in the early 2000s, between like 2005, 2010, somewhere around that time frame. And it was just local gun range competition stuff. We did 3-gun. It wasn't like any big sanctioned event or anything like that. It was just local gun range people just having fun. And they started to try to make it more sanctioned and have more rules and stuff to be able to have like big outside stuff come in. And it just became unfun to me, so I just stopped coming to them. Well, 2023, I think it was, a buddy of mine invited me to come back out to a competition there at the range, and it was a steel plate challenge, I believe it was, and it was fun for me. So I kind of started getting back into it, and then I started doing 2-gun competitions. So I've been doing 2-gun competitions for the last year or so, and it's been fun. And again, it's just local stuff. It's just a local range. I don't go to any large events. You know, I don't have any sponsors. I'm not a big, great competition shooter. It's just something to be able to do for fun. Some stuff is, under stress, and you get to shoot from some awkward positions under time and stuff like that. So I like that aspect of it. However, there are other aspects of it that I do not like, and I do not like the administrative handling of the guns based off of all the goofy rules. And the reason why I stopped going to competitions in the first place many years ago was because they started having all these different rules, and I just did not like those rules because I did not see those as being realistic and being useful for real world application. And so one rule that is in place is you have to have a chamber flag in your gun when you're not using it. So if it's sitting on a table, it has to have a chamber flag in it. I don't own any chamber flags, and my mindset on chamber flags is I think that they are useless because you should be following the cardinal rules. All guns are always loaded. You should be treating every gun as if it's loaded. And because of that, I've never went and bought an actual little tubey chamber flag that would go inside the chamber. Just never saw a need for it. So I've been borrowing one when I go out there to the range, and I just give it back. Well, aside from always wanting to treat the gun as it's always loaded, that mindset, why I don't have a chamber flag. The other reason why I just don't like chamber flags is because it requires you to perform a maneuver that is not a normal maneuver that you would be wanting to replicate in a real world application. It is not a martial handling of the gun. It is a administrative handling of the gun, and administrative handling of firearms is not something that is used in real world applications. So in order to put a chamber flag in, one, you got to drop the magazine out, and then you got to pull the bolt to the rear and hold that bolt to the rear, engage the bolt catch, and lock the bolt to the rear, and then insert your chamber flag. You introduce debris into the chamber itself, and you can either leave it laying like that, or you have to ease the bolt forward to rest up against that chamber flag to keep it in place. So I just don't like that. That's too much administrative handling of a gun. And when you think that there are 4 stages in a day, you start the day off by doing that administrative handling of the gun. You're unloading the gun, you're putting this debris thing into it, leave it, and then you start a stage, you bring it over there, you do this handling where you pull the bolt back, pull this little thing out, put it in your pocket, and then insert real mag and danger the gun up, and then when you end it, you have to, again, drop your magazine, do this weird administrative handling of the gun, pulling the bolt back, locking it in place, putting the chamber flag in there, and then go in there. So you do this like, let's see here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like you do this like 9 times out the day, doing this weird administrative handling of the gun. And when you do stuff over and over and over, it builds muscle memory. So it is, in my opinion, something that can create a training scar, something that you do not want to happen in an actual gunfight. So what I did was I first started with this product right here from Veil Solutions, and there's their tag right there, Veil Solutions. And I thought, cool, this will allow me to and like I said, all guns are always loaded, at least in my household they are. And this is part of this weird administrative handling that I'm talking about. You gotta just hold the gun in an awkward way, work that bolt, and then get it into place. So, my thinking process was, I'll get this, and then this will be my chamber flag, right? And then when I go to start a stage, all I have to do is hit eject, this thing flies out, insert new mag, danger the gun up. Cool, right? Takes out that administrative handling. Well, it works at the beginning, but at the end, when the bolt is still forward because you've only fired a few rounds, this thing will not seat on a closed bolt. I mean, it'll go in, but it won't lock in place. So I was like, well, that sucks. Because now I have to go back into doing this weird hold the gun in an awkward way, pull the bolt back, lock it in place. And I know some people say, well, just get a bad lever, put it right in there. I'm not the biggest fan of that, because the only time I want my finger to go inside that trigger guard is when I want this gun to go boom, right? We always teach, keep your finger outside the trigger finger, or I'm sorry, keep your trigger finger out of the trigger guard until you're ready to fire. So when you have that bad lever inside there, what are you doing? You're putting your finger inside that trigger guard when you're not wanting to fire. So I'm just not a big fan of the bad lever. But this was cool until the end of the stage when I needed to insert it. It would not lock into place, and I still had to go through the bullcrap administrative handling. So I was talking to a person there who happens to be an engineer, like a legit engineer. They teach at a college as an engineer. And I said, it would be cool to have an actual magazine where had this same thing that sticks up, but when you insert it into the gun, because of a spring, it would depress down, and then when you work the bolt to the rear, it would pop up into position. Well, this engineer guy made that. And he designed it with fiberglass reinforced nylon 6, I believe is what it's called. And you take a real live magazine. In this case, I just took a couple of my old US GI mags that weren't the greatest, and replaced the follower inside of it with this new special follower. And so it does the same thing as the Veil Solutions chamber mag flag thing, but now I get to insert it into the gun, lock it into place, and still hold the gun as normal, and then when I work the bolt to the rear, it pops into place, and the bolt will lock because it's on an empty magazine. And then if I somehow, for whatever reason, hit the bolt release there, it would just hit the chamber flag indicator thing inside there and not go any far forward. So now I can start the stage like this, with the chamber flag in place, meeting that goofy safety requirement, I can eject. It's going to fall out. Insert real mag into gun, work the bolt, and do the competition. Right, go bang, 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 and then now it's time to unload and show clear. I just eject the live magazine, insert this one, and then boom, the live round would come flying out of the gun, and then this thing would pop into place. And you know what? I'll go ahead and do that. All right, so we got live round going in. So bang, 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 bang. And then insert this guy. And then we'll work the bolt. And then boom, it comes out. So the only, I guess you say, downside to the end of this is the fact that you would be working the bolt on the gun and it being locked to the rear, and then you not correcting that issue, not loading the gun back up, because that's ideally what you want. Is you want a loaded gun at the end of the handling of the bolt, working the bolt and everything. In my world, empty guns are a bad thing. Or fighting guns. Fighting guns being empty is bad. And so always wanting the gun topped off. So that's the only negative with this, is at the very end, when I work that bolt to the rear, I'm going to be walking away knowing that the bolt's locked to the rear and the gun's empty. And it's not dangered up the way it needs to be. However, I get to perform all these martial handlings, all these normal handlings of the gun, as if I would in a real world application. I start the day off inserting this thing into it, get to the stage, hit the eject, insert live mag, work the gun like normal, hold the gun like normal in a martial manner. When I go to show clear, I eject the live mag, insert this new one, holding the gun as normal, work that bolt, and then this happens. And then, like I said, the only downside is once I work that bolt, I know that it's locked to the rear and I've not dangered this thing back up. That's the only real true negative thing after all of this, is knowingly taking a fighting gun and making it empty and walking away like that. But it's the nature of the beast. It's what you have to do when you're dealing with public ranges and public competitions, right? Like they have to default to the dumbest rules for safety, because there's a lot of people who are unsafe. But you know, that's a whole nother thing in and of itself, a whole nother topic. The 4 cardinal rules, in my opinion, they're good enough. Every gun's loaded, right? Rule number 1: every gun's loaded. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. 2: don't point your gun at things unless you intend to destroy them. 3: keep your finger off that trigger until you have consciously made that decision to shoot whatever it is that you're pointing that gun at. And number 4, be sure of your target and what is behind it. You follow those 4 cardinal rules, you're going to be safe. It is when you start to break those rules when bad things happen. And the nice thing about these rules is there's 4 of them, so you can usually break one and things will still be okay. It's like a fail-safe type of thing. When you start breaking more than one rule at once, that's when bad things can happen. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid people out there who will break more rules than once, or more than one rule at a time, and that's when bad things happen. So then you have people in administrative positions at ranges and stuff like that who say, you know what, we need to make this super, super hard for anyone to have an accident or have a negligent discharge. Because let's be real, there's no accidents. These are acts of negligence. And so they'll come up with these rules like you got to have a chamber flag in your gun. You can't walk around a shooting range with a loaded gun. Like, think about that statement. You cannot walk around a shooting range with a loaded gun. How asinine is that? You cannot be at a range with a loaded gun. And it's not just regular citizen civilian ranges that do this crap either. It's also military and police ranges are like this as well. You go to any police academy, the students show up with an empty gun. Or they want them to show up with empty guns. They want them to start the day with an empty gun. And they only load the gun when they get on the line. The military, like same thing. Like you're walking around with empty guns. You load them when you're on the line, and then you unload them. And they have these big bright red barrels that they call clearing stations. And you're supposed to stick your rifle or whatever into this barrel and do your clearing in that, so that if you have a negligent discharge, a big pile of sand or dirt at the bottom will catch that round. And that's because people are just not following the cardinal rules. They have not instilled those cardinal rules well enough, in my opinion. Same with police. I think it is incredibly, incredibly stupid that our police officers go to a range to receive instruction, and at the beginning they have to have an empty gun, and the only time they can load that gun is when they're on the line. You mean to tell me that you don't trust your officers enough with their guns on the range, but they have to keep them unloaded and unless they're actively shooting, but you turn around and say that they're perfectly fine to drive around town, walk into stores, walk into schools, go anywhere with a loaded gun at all times? Like, that makes zero sense to me. If you're fine with them walking in the schools, walking in the stores, going into churches, going anywhere with a loaded gun, then you should be okay with them having a loaded gun at the shooting range. Anyway, that's a rant that I can go on for a while and just continue to complain on. But for those who dislike traditional chamber flags like me, because of you having to do administrative handling of the gun, this I think is a pretty cool solution to that, because you get a live magazine, so to speak, that works with a spring inside. You can insert it into a closed bolt, work that bolt, and this thing will pop into place and meet that goofy chamber flag requirement for safety reasons. And because of this design, you can't insert a live round into it. It just will not hold a live round. Even if you press it in there nice and gently soft and kind of slowly ease up off of it, like it's not going to stay in there. So there's no way that you could insert a live round into this and then insert it into the gun and load the live round into it. So pretty cool invention here, pretty cool product that him and I are going to be looking at selling. So we're going to be doing some testing and evaluation with this at our local range. We're going to hand some of these magazines out to people and let them use them as chamber flag indicators throughout the day, and be able to start a stage with these things stuck in them, eject them out, insert that fresh mag, work the bolt, get the gun started, and then at the end of the stage, insert this thing into a closed bolt, and then work the bolt and retain all of that martial handling that you want to retain and still meet a goofy chamber flag requirement. And here's another plus side to this. Aside from being able to retain all your Marshall handling, you actually get to retain the chamber flag as well, because this magazine locks into place, right? Just like a regular magazine. And so it's not going anywhere unless you hit the eject button, right? Whereas a actual chamber flag that you would stick inside here, it could fall out. And I've seen that happen before. I think it's even happened to me, where you put the chamber flag in there and then you pick the gun up and then boom, it falls out, and now you're looking for the chamber flag laying on the ground. You could close the bolt on a chamber flag. I've just never been a big fan of that. But magazine stays in place, it's locked in, it's not going anywhere unless you want it to go somewhere. So you're able to keep your chamber flag, not lose it. And also, speaking of losing, it's a whole magazine, right? Like, I mean, I know people have left their magazines at the range before, but you're not losing this thing like you would a tiny little piece of plastic that you're going to stick inside there, right? It's just not gonna happen. And it's more visually telling that this gun is empty, right? Like, you see this big magazine sticking out. You see this bright colored object inside. You can tell for sure from a distance that this thing is empty, it's not loaded. Whereas a little tiny chamber indicator thing, you have it stuck in there. If the bolt is facing, the ejection port is facing the other direction, well, you can't tell if it's unloaded or not. So at least with the big bright safety orange magazine sticking out of it, you can tell that it's empty. So I've done magazines up in a couple different colors. I've done them in orange, and I have done them in blue. Blue is typically a color used to indicate something as inert, that is not working, or is a training prop. And orange, of course, is a safety color. Same kind of thing. So use the two most common colors used for safety. You could also paint one yellow, I think, but I think blue or orange is probably the best way to go. So that is it on my chamber flag video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos. And if you are interested in buying one of these, leave me a comment and I will let you know how to purchase one of these things. Until I get a website or a shopping site created to be able to sell these things, you'll just have to private message me and I will get that facilitated for you. All right.